Hi, welcome back to another Terranscapes video. This video is going to be talking about the large elf town project that I am working on, Lord of the Rings themed. There's a lot to talk about what that project will fully entail, but not yet. At this point, I've been working on designing the windows and doors, and I'm going to move on to some trim elements, whatnot, in the near future, and I've been doing that in Inkscape. If you missed the first update, I don't actually know if I even included it in that. Anyway, I've been working in Inkscape, and it has been probably the most challenging work I've done to date, partly because it's working in software, and that's very new to me. And also, I'm trying to create my own architectural style, something that fits the Lord of the Rings universe and feels elfy, but isn't exactly, and that is very new and very difficult. So I've been struggling a little bit getting some speed going on it, but I finally have the mechanics of Inkscape down, and that has made a big turning point, as it's really hard to be creative while you're trying to understand why nodes aren't connecting to where they're supposed to be and what happens when these pieces come together and how come I can't take them back apart and all of that. So what I'm going to do today is show you some of the designs that I've been working on, some thoughts I have on them, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's go over to the computer and I'll show you. So it's probably best to begin where I've gone away from, and I wanted to show you some things that I was working on and then realizing wasn't working, at least for me. So first I was showing you a few doors here that I started to design, and I'm going to show you a little bit in a second about how I started to move in this direction and then somewhat moved away from it. But basically this is a little bit of how the layers of the door will be arranged. So this is the back of the door, then this piece will be cut out and then placed over this layer, and then this will be trim that will be placed on this. That way I can get a layered look, so I can build up these layers as I want, and then I'd have the option of making these either raised or engraved, but this is pretty small, so it would probably be engraved, but that's not what I'm talking about. So here you can see me trying some different ideas for windows and inserts in those windows, and here I decided to go for something really different, and I've been worried about having enough diversity within the town, so I wanted a lot of things that really said diversity, different styles of pieces, but have them be somewhat unified, and I've gone way off of where I think I should be in this kind of level diversity. Not to mention that this doesn't quite work for me, but you can see I was trying maybe for some bay windows on the sides or something like that. And as another example of what wasn't working, here are 3 windows that I was working on. I don't know, it's officially probably not called a bay window, but I just put it in. So I took this window, which I may have shown, maybe, I don't know, maybe on Patreon, I can't remember. And I thought I'd use this as a foundation for this window, and that seemed to work. I liked that style carrying through. And then I decided that I should, try to branch out. Where's the diversity, Mike? And so I came up with a slightly different styling, different roof line, and a little bit different iconography. This does not work. I don't like this at all. And this is close, not quite though. If you look, right, this is very airy, very spindly and thin, whereas this is a much heavier footprint visually. So I was off track, and I realized it after I had made this window in particular. I was like, I've lost my mind. This is going in the wrong direction. And then I came across an architectural styling that was pointed out to me by a wonderful patron, Vicky. I'm going to keep giving her credit, or him. I'm not actually sure if it's a male or female. But the amount of information this person has been showering me with is staggering, and has been almost a little overloading. But I'm so grateful for it. And what we're looking at here is an art movement that I wasn't really familiar with. It's Art Nouveau, and it was art styling that was around the turn of the beginning of the 20th century, and a breaking away of tradition and trying to harken back to adding art into architecture, and also being willing to break away from some conventional architectural stylings that people had previously thought wouldn't go well together. And when Vicky sent this to me and I started looking at these images, I realized, one, that this is very stylistically where my mind was thinking, and also gave me some confidence to realize I don't need to adhere to some strict rules as long as the overall effect is pleasing. So you can see some of that influence, you know, that I'm kind of working on. And this flourish style actually is something you're about to see in a few minutes, and it is something that I've always been attracted to. Even when I was younger, I used to draw sort of flourish designs like this, and I guess that's carrying through now into my own work. Let us just take a look at a few windows as well. And I've been seeing this kind of arching motif throughout a few of the pieces, and this I loved. I don't know, this influenced me on a few of those door designs, actually, and this is not something I'm going to really be pursuing. But can I just point out something that's really awesome about this? Notice how the archway is anchored here, and then it pulls around, and it spirals inward towards this and tapers off. This is a very, very interesting movement that gives, this gives movement to this window. I love that. And then you have sort of a very organic, sort of flourish-y type dressing at the bottom, but having this round, sort of unusually finished window at the bottom, and again, some more ironwork. This is just an amazing piece. It's not something that would fit everywhere, but I've never seen anything like that. Absolutely loved it. Here's some more ironwork in front of a window, and I'll stop here before I go through all my other photos, but just to say that I saw this and I thought, I like it. I like its unconventional shape. It offers a lot of canvas, if you will, to add in decorative elements side. Now this actually happens to be a door, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a door in my mind. It could be a large window. So these were some of the things that I was thinking about when I was floundering in the middle of my designing. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention Alphonse Mucha. He was a huge artist in the Art Nouveau age. And in fact, we have this very poster on our wall, this print. And so Tanya actually was telling me, you should look at this more for your elves. And I was like, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, right. She was right. Of course, I should have just started searching for Mucha right away. But you can see this sort of, I don't know how to describe that effect right there. But it's got these, this line work of flowing geometry, and here we get another instance of this sort of spiraling motif, and of course we have this interconnection between all of these round radii and then also some of these linear lines, and it all kind of comes together and works really, really well. So took a look at Mucha, realized, and then Vicky did it to me again and sent me the, you should look into the arts and crafts movement. Oh, well, all right. So another 45 minutes of delving onto the web and 24 reference files for my folders. Thank you. I appreciate it, but I'm so weak. But I'm so grateful too, because when I started looking at the arts and crafts movement, here again, I see another flavor of what I'm envisioning. And in fact, something sit within me subconsciously. You're going to see this very, very motif coming up. Actually, oh my gosh. Yeah, so I looked at this, I forget about it, and then it comes into my work. So pay attention to that. That's interesting. I haven't revisited since I've been doing some recent work. But we have a lot of very organic, swirling patterns. Obviously, organic, what's the word I'm looking for? Models, that's it, I guess, right? So we're talking about flowers and leaves and that sort of idea. All right, so where have I gone with this since then? So having done all of that designing and also beginning to understand Inkscape better and understanding how to layer things more appropriately for laser cutting, and recognizing that I should be viewing the doors and the windows the way I'm envisioning the buildings, composed of modular parts that are interchangeable so I can add variety. But when I've looked at elf architecture, it's not that varied. They're very, very strong motifs that carry throughout all of the pieces, and I needed to go back and think about unifying what I'm trying to create. So what I've done here is I've just put together some very simple doors. This is a, you can see where my influence is. I was like, I like that idea of having a little tapered door. There might be some modifications made to these pieces, so don't look at these and think they're done. But for the most part, you get a sense of the kinds of shapes that I'm looking at. These are the stairs, so there'll be little thin platforms that come out from the bottoms of the pieces. And of course, here are all the components that make up this one piece. I should also mention, before somebody asks, I have no doubt, and it'll be a good question, I plan on placing some of these elements inside of another wall element, right? So there'll maybe be a very, very slight recess that will have other decorative work around it. That will definitely be happening because this thin frame here that I have here, I'm not sufficiently pleased with it as a casing visually for this piece, so I'd like to have something else around some of these that I think would add a little bit more to it. So what I've done is, after I've done the doors here, then what I did is I started working on windows to fit within the doors, and the windows, I think I'm going to have to think about resizing them a little bit. That's a little too big. That looks like a porthole. That doesn't really work with that door, but maybe something like that, shrunk way down, So now I have these options of placing things and trying them out in different sizes, but trying to maintain some uniformity in my selections for all of these pieces. And then I started working on elements to go inside of the windows. So we'll just take this piece here for a second, and we'll just take that down. Come here. So this scaling is slightly off, but the thought being that then I could have a cutout that would fit inside of these, but also allow me to choose different ones to put within the windows, so that I could then have the same window shape, but with maybe 2 or 3 different types of fittings within it, but also inserts that will carry the same theme all the way through. So I've been working on this motif at the moment for my fine art inclusions, if you will. This is not working for me. It's like a butterfly or something. I'm gonna change that or scrap it, but I left it there for now just so I could think about it. And then I started thinking about windows. Now this would be a very large window. Again, you can see some of that shape reference. I'm not sure this works, but you're just seeing my thinking process. Here it is shrunk down a little bit to make it more of a small. For scale, each of these is a 1/2 inch. So that would be a 1 inch wide window, 1 inch tall. Here would be an oval window for a good wall insert. But then I wanted to get into something a little bit more grand and return to that large window style. So there's a lot going on here to talk about. So I'm going to start over here for a second and just show you some of my thinking. So what I've been doing now is I finally have tried to standardize all of my designs so that all of them have a certain color, right? So this is the lowest layer, for instance, here, and then if it's on the same layer, but it needs to be separate, it's this color, right? And then all the way up to the highest, the stairs are here. If it's going to be an engraving, rather than a relief, then that it's shown in this color, and window tracery for the doors is shown in this color, that sort of idea. And standardizing all of the strokes, that's a line overlay in Inkscape, so that I know approximately to scale what that will come out as, so I can unify those amongst different building elements. And then here, what I did is I wanted to try to use modularity as much as I can. I need to start doing that or I'll never finish this project. So, and it will create unity throughout all of the pieces. So I took this piece, flipped it upside down, connected it, right? I took this piece, flipped it upside down, connected it, and that, I like that. I feel like that really works well visually, and we've got a nice tie-in to the doors. I created a novel piece here that I wasn't too sure about, and it ended up working for me better when I put it in the window. We'll revisit that in a second. And then here you can see some of the leaf work that I've been working on, and I want to be able to use these in different places. And so, you know, if I was going to take this and put it in a door, you know, I could also, you know, flip it around and on the next door or something like that. My mouse will move, right? So it's easy to do things like that, and to be able to, there we go, be able again to add a little variety, but also to maintain the unity and save me some time. I guess the word of the day for this video is unity. All right, boys and girls. So I took all of that and then I put that all together. Oops. So what I did is I went back to that large window, did a whole complete redesign, fixed all the measurements, make sure everything lines up really, really tightly. And I took those symbols and I started to put them in, and I thought, wouldn't it look nice if they looked like they were supported, being carried aloft by the living, you know, tree work, and it helps to separate them so they're not conflicting. At least it works for me. And this one a little heavier, so it actually does sit on the bottom. But again, these trees are all embracing it and propping it up. That's the feeling that I started to develop, and I really liked when I started working on this piece, and it gave me a bit of a sigh of relief, if you will, to come up with something that I felt like I could pursue going forward. So that's pretty much where the design process has been. Here's my palette all pulled out here. So all of the elements, as I design new elements that are going to be part of that modular series, they go in here. And as I develop windows, they'll go here. And these are parts as I'm working on them, like, oh God, before you tweak anything, save a copy of it in case you screw it up. You know, you pull out a little bit here, you can do that. Or I can steal these bits and use them elsewhere because they're just easier that way. So that's what I've been up to. More hours than you might think, having looked at this product page, if you will, but things are moving in a different direction now. And now that I have the mechanics down, it's getting smoother. And now that I have a vision that's a little bit more clear, I can move forward with that a little bit more easily too. So hopefully we'll see some more progress in the near future. So that gives you a look at what I've been up to, and I should just add that it feels really good to be moving forward more in the design process at this point, but I'm on a schedule for this project, which is a little new for me, and it's a good thing because I don't want to end up where I ended up with the ocean boards, but at the same time, it's got some I don't know how else to describe it, a little bit of pressure to kind of stay on pace. And I'm a little bit behind. I was hoping to be a little further ahead, but the good thing is I know that now rather than much later in the project, which has happened in the past. But it's an interesting facet that is novel to me. So I'll probably revisit that as the project goes on and let you know sort of how that's evolving as the project evolves. Just before I go, I wanted to mention that if you are interested, you might consider becoming a patron of mine on Patreon. And if you are wondering why maybe you should become a patron, maybe it's because you fear I might actually become the literal starving artist. Sharing food with my cats is some kind of dim horror in my mind in the future. But either way, I hope you do come back. I value my viewers. I'm thankful that you came and you saw this video and you're following the project. And I encourage questions and comments down below. I'm gonna don't put a question. Let's just say that. I was gonna say, oh, I'm gonna catch up and keep up and do all. No, stop saying that. I'll get to them when I get to them. But if you want to put a question down there, just don't make it a question that you need an answer in 4 days on. That's not going to happen. But please do. I read every comment. I promise you that. And I appreciate them more than you might imagine. Sometimes when I'm going through them, it makes a day that might not have otherwise been a good day a lot better when I read them. So thank you very much for that. And stay tuned. I hope you come back to the channel because you know that I will be back soon with another Terranscapes video.